So in this section, we'll be doing the web server configuration, the Nginx configuration. If you remember, I showed you one web page of our e-commerce website, the home page of that website, where we were defining the two sections, the packaged food and the vegetables, and the multiple products under them. Okay, so we'll be building that page here, and we'll be doing the configuration that is required to route the traffic, the APIs that we have. Let's go to our server. So we are in our application server. Let me first create the HTML page. Just create one directory. Let me switch to root. This is easier. Let's create one directory, HTML. In this directory, we'll be creating that HTML page. Let's create nano static.html. I'm just giving the name as static. I have the HTML code ready. Let me show you. Just copy this file, and don't worry, I'll be just attaching the attachment with this session only. Let me show you like what we are going to do. So it's a very basic HTML page with the title, grocery cart, and the heading as grocery cart and all those things. Then we have the two sections, prepared food and the vegetables, and we have three products inside this prepared food, and two products inside this vegetable section. So here it's like there is a hyperlink. We are using the anchor tags, and when we are clicking on green salad, it will be routing the traffic to something else, some other web page, or the response. Well, this is somewhat like I've used this HTML page in some other project. That's why you are seeing here Ansible, Chef, Puppet, and all those things. So let me just add this as per our requirement. So here we need to give the public IP of the Docker containers, or I can say the Docker host. Let's just grab the public IP of the Docker host, and we can see it here as well. Let's copy it. So this is our app server. Just copy it. Okay, it's HTTP, and just paste the IP. And if you remember, the port was 3000 for the first application, and it's product 1. Okay, let's do the same here. Port is 3000 only. Just paste the IP, and it is product 2. Well, it's fine. We'll do the same for the third one. The port will remain the same, and it is product 3. It's done now. We'll be doing the same strategy for these two products as well. Well, the port here is 4000, but the same public IP because all the containers are running on the same host. It's slash product 4. Well, it's fine. And the last one, just paste the public IP, and the port is 4000, product is 5. I think it's done now, so we can have a glimpse of our web page. So this static.html is now complete. Now we need to one configuration file to make this static.html as the index page. Let's head over to the Nginx configuration directory. It's in /etc nginx conf.d. Here, if you remember, there is one file by name default.conf. We'll not be using this default.conf file. Let's rename this file to something else so that it won't pick anything. Let's rename it as, I'm just naming it as default. So it has been done now. Now there is no file with the extension .conf. Let's create one file for us. We'll say let's name it as DevOps.conf. So let's start building this configuration file. So every Nginx configuration file starts with a server block where we need to define on which port we are going to listen, since we'll be handling HTTP traffic. So we'll be listening on port 80. Then here I need to define the server name. If you are having some kind of domain name, then you can define it here or leave it blank. Then here we need to define the listen section. Then here we need to define the location block slash. Let's start the location block. So I need to define the root directory where I can find all the index files. So we created the HTML directory. The location will be /home/ubuntu/html. That's it. And the last thing, we need to define the index page, and it was by the name static.html. I guess everything is fine now. Let's save the file, and we'll do one thing, just a syntax check whether we have done. Yeah, so syntax is also fine. Let's restart the nginx service. Start. So it has been restarted. Now if you remember, we are listening on port 80. We should check whether port 80 is open from the EC2 console in the security groups or not. So we are in this EC2 console. Let's head over to the security groups, and if you can see, I don't see any port 80 open. Let's open the HTTP port. It's HTTP. Yeah, let's open it to everywhere, anywhere. Okay, save the rules. Well, that's fine. Head back to the EC2 dashboard, take the public IP. We'll hit on port 80. Oh, there is some issue. We are not getting the appropriate response. Let me just do a curl to the local host. Maybe I have not given the correct path. Let's troubleshoot it. Oh, well, this path is fine. I don't see any file. I forget like where I have saved the file. Oh, I did one mistake. I have simply, placed it static.html in, /home/ubuntu. Let's move it to HTML directory. Then everything will be fine. Okay, let's restart the nginx service. So nginx restart. It was giving a 403 error. It's because something was missing on. So here we have our grocery cart HTML page ready, and yeah, it looks cool. I know it's like a 10th standard guy can easily build this file. Okay, I can understand, but okay, let's continue with this only. So on clicking on this first product, I guess I should get a proper response. For the second product, let's check. I'm getting the appropriate response from the container 1 and the third product API. And let's check for this one also. Yeah, that's fine. And for this one also. So in this way, we have successfully, done the web server configuration. I guess everything on the manual part is ready now. Now we need to move on to the actual part of DevOps, that is automation. So we need to automate all these things. So it's like, if you remember, what I have done is like I have just pushed the code into Git, then I have pulled it inside our application server, and then I am just going to do all the changes. And then if it's in Docker, then I need to build the image, and then I'm running the container and all those things. So this is actually requiring a lot of effort. Well, since I am just doing for 2 applications, then it seems like I can do it in 10 minutes. But in production, the situation is not the same. We have hundreds of applications that are running inside the containers. Nowadays, it's a time of microservices architecture. We should adopt to Jenkins or the automation practices. Then only we can sustain in this DevOps culture.